Good morning, Texas. Good morning, Louisiana. Good morning, David. Good
Yes,
afternoon, David, in Dublin.
that's
How
right.
are
It's almost happy hour over here. So we are cruising for boozing soon, and we're having a great day. It's beautiful out, and enjoying the recent gains in the market.
cruising for a boozing?
Yeah, I'm on the river. It would be nice to get out on a boat and have a nice booze cruise, but it's so chilly. I don't even think I'm up for it.
Is it chilly? We finally have turned the corner here in the Washington area. I think that
It's spring.
it might be over. Yeah, spring might be here. I mean, now I've said that before in March, and
Mhm.
then we get a big winter storm. But I don't know, man. We haven't really
Yeah,
had a snow here in a while. I don't know if it's that's.
they said it
I don't know
snowed
what that
here
is.
in March last year. So
It did.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So totally possible. Totally possible. We do seem to turn the corner though, and we're halfway through March. We're heading into April. We do have some exciting things coming up. Of course, we are tracking Paris Blockchain Week, broadcasting live from Paris Blockchain Week. That is in April, around the 11th to the 12th, something like that. We're also now partnering as well with Blockchain Life in Dubai, which will be right after that. So pretty excited about those things. We're going to be coming live. David and I historically have done a lot of live coverage over the years, coming from events and interviewing people on the spot, going live with them. So we're pretty excited to bring you the shows live from location. It always adds a lot. It adds a lot to it. Live is one thing, but of course, on location live is also it's another.
Yep. Always great experience and so much to learn at these conferences. I mean, you really absorb a lot of information and you meet some great people.
Meet some great people. You absorb a lot of information, and you always come out there on up higher on top of where you were before. So crazy day in the news, as is every day. I want to go kind of backwards. Of course, in the title I have closed TikTok but open border. Oil is up, which is very significant because it is above that $80 a barrel psychological barrier. And I think it's going to close, or already has closed over in Europe above that point. And that is a very big psychological barrier. We're going to talk about that. Trump in court. Trump is in Florida court. And then Elon, SpaceX, take us to Mars. So I want to talk about Elon first and SpaceX and Mars because, nothing really, I think, captures the minds and the hearts of especially the youth, but really people all over the place like space travel. And I mean, as a kid, I always wanted to go to space. Everybody always wanted to go to space. I mean, who didn't want to go to space, right? I still want to go to space. I want to go to Mars. Like we have the opportunity here where we're opening up something that's like super special. Like this is like in the days when we would in the very beginning of when we would explore the West, right? You'd go out and find some new land, and you'd set up your house, and you'd set up your ranch, and you would go there. And that's what's going to happen on Mars. And it's been a little bit hard. People were starting to think that might happen years ago, but then we didn't go back to the moon for so long, and then things just kind of drifted. But that kind of thinking is what propels us forward. And Elon says we want to be an interplanetary species. He wants to take us to be an interplanetary species. And I'm 100% on board with that. And I tell you what, I can't wait for the time when we start colonizing Mars. And when people are like, when people like when they left Britain and when they left Europe and they came to the New World, are like, I can't take this anymore here in the Earth. I'm going to Mars, the New World, and I'm going to start there. And that's what's in store over the next 100 years. And it could even be the next 20 or 50 years. You know what I mean? It will be definitely in the next 20 years, but I mean in mass. Everything is speeding up. That's the thing, of course, when you start noticing is everything's been speeding up. Everything speeds up. I don't know why. Nobody really knows why, but everything speeds up. So like even if you look at technology advancements and everything else, it's very much speeding up. AI advancements very much speeding up. So pretty, it's big. It's big. And what that does as well is it takes some of the power away. So you have a guy like Elon Musk who, basically saved free speech in this moment. And now the TikTok ban there's a lot of problems with that TikTok ban, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But for now, he saved free speech. We're able to speak freely on X, and being able to speak freely on X then makes it where you're able to speak more freely in other places as well. Because if you couldn't speak freely anywhere, like if you didn't have X and you couldn't speak freely on Facebook or Instagram or any of these other places, and you couldn't speak freely on X either, then you just couldn't speak freely. But at least we have X, and so we're able to speak freely on X, even if it is freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach, or however he says it. It's a lot better, and I do find that if you could put out good content, especially, you do get your reach. But that is something else. And this dream of being an interplanetary species, this is what we want, guys. This is it. We don't want to, it's just like not having kids or something like that. I actually wrote a post, replied to one of my buddies today, and it was about something. And I said, someone said that we should cancel Social Security and this and that and the other. And I didn't listen to the whole thing. And I said, look, cut all the taxes, all of them. And then, let's talk about it. And then we can have a conversation about it. And go back to having the family and the church take care of the people. And that's how it used to work. And I mean, I'll tell you, my mother-in-law, she's like, I think one of the only reasons my wife was really allowed to marry me was because I always told her it would be fine. I would never put her in a nursing home. She could always come and live with us. Don't worry. And I'll tell you what, guys, that's a good one for you young guys and older guys. I can do no wrong in my mother-in-law's eyes. Let me tell you that. No, Bruce. No, Bruce. Bruce is okay. Well, honey, she'll tell my wife, calm her down for whatever she's upset about. I'm not a bad guy. Why? Because I will take her in when she gets old. She knows. I've told her from the beginning. I won't put you in one of those places. And I just did that naturally, of course. I didn't do it, to be funny or anything like that. But that's how it should be, guys. Social Security, I mean, it's already completely bankrupt. I think it's $136 trillion behind. I mean, we're talking the thought that that's going to have anything for us by the time we get there, I think it's like you're dreaming. I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's go to Mars. Anyway, we want to go to Mars. We want to go to the stars. We want to expand. We want to grow. And so Elon capturing that is very interesting. I think it's very, very interesting. I forgot to go live on Instagram again. I've been doing better with that lately. But let me just pull up some of this SpaceX stuff here. This is just so cool. I mean, even the big rockets and stuff. And so we have this guy. He has, of course, saved free speech, right? He's basically fighting the deep state himself. And now, not only that, but he's giving us a way that we could actually maybe escape this madness if we don't fix it. And that's by going to another planet. Look at this. This is pretty awesome. Starship is coasting in space. So this is like the third try. Okay, this is the liftoff right here.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Pretty cool, right?
10, 9, 8, 7.
That's it's awesome, man. You know, like these things are so cool. They're so cool. And of course, in Elon, he just like puts out there Starship re-entering Earth's atmosphere. Views through the plasma. This is one of the
plasma field. Wow. What?
Enter the Earth. This is one of the first times that heat plasma has ever been caught on camera.
Atmosphere. This is where the Earth's atmosphere is doing the work to slow us down.
Like we said, this plasma field
is
what a view. We hope to maintain these views throughout. Starship is so big that we're hoping that the plasma field doesn't entirely blanket the entire vehicle. Right now, it is not. The Starlinks are
brought to you by Starlink.
Yeah, the Starlinks are still communicating and still capturing the data and the video that we see here. I mean, Shiva, this is just absolutely incredible views. We've never seen anything like this before. This is the biggest flying object ever in space.
Absolutely, Kate. And it's important to note with the ascent burn that we did was to get us to orbital velocities, even though we were on a nearly orbital trajectory. So the heating and the loads that Starship is going through right now are what it would be getting if it were recovering from an orbital mission. And just the fact that we have views through entry, this is incredible.
Yeah. Again, this is the furthest and fastest that Starship has ever flown. And you can definitely tell by the crowd here in Hawthorne.
The heat shield tiles doing their work. We talked about it earlier. Up to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit that those heat shield tiles are dissipating as we.
So this is like the first time I think they've gotten this thing to orbit. This is the liftoff.
The boost back burn setting it up for eventual splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
State separation.
This is the separation.
Boost back startup.
Hot staging confirmed. Boosters now making its way back, seeing 6 engines ignited on ship. Kate, we got a Starship on its way to space and a booster on the way back to the Gulf.
Oh man, I need a moment to pick my jaw up from the floor because these views are just stunning. These are live views from Starship. First stage is currently performing the
ship avionics, power and telemetry nominal.
Good there, news informing us that the second stage or the ship, everything looking good, nominal there. First stage is currently performing the boost back burn, expecting that to last about 1 minute. That boost back burn, propels the booster back towards the coast, taking it to a landing in the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. We're only using the super heavy boosters, 13 center engines from here on out. As whenever they relight, you'll be able to see that in the left bottom corner. Those are the ones that can gimbal. In other words, they move and change direction in order to change the thrust to steer the first stage back to Earth. Wow, these are just incredible.
Right. I know. I saw 136 million in longs, I guess, just got liquidated in crypto in the last 4 hours. It's just took my focus for a second there, but really just something else. This is the door closing before they took off.
Pez checkout's complete. Door is closing.
Pretty cool. The view of the SpaceX Starship launch from Padre.
It's already up. Look, there it is.
There it is.
Whoa.
Oh, there it is. Yay!
Here comes the sound.
Oh, wow, look at that. And that was from South Padre. They were watching that. 20 years of SpaceX today. This is on what most people believe is Elon's burner account. Pretty unbelievable. Pretty unbelievable moment. And guys, that's, unless we're going forward, you're going backwards. The world is moving forward, and actually, it's speeding up. The world is speeding up. And so if you're not moving forward, if you're just staying in one place, you're actually going backwards because the rest of the world's moving forwards. Not going to the moon for 60 years was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I can't believe we didn't do that. Makes you wonder about the whole thing. But now we're back on the moon, right? We're back in space. Elon's going to take us to Mars. I think that most people believe that Elon's going to take us to Mars. And I think that's really important. I think that's important. I know it is. I know it's important. I'm here to tell you that that is important. We need to be going to Mars. We need to be an interplanetary species, and we need then to be an interstellar species.
Yeah. I want to smoke a cigar on Mars.
I want to smoke a cigar on Mars too. I was actually, I was on my Twitter the other day, and of course I love X, right? Twitter, X. I still call it Twitter sometimes. And
well, it's twitter.com still, so it's hard to stop
both.
Yeah,
it's
but
both.
It forwards you there.
It forwards, yeah. So here it is right here. So I saw these things, and I was like, I wonder if we can seed up Mars with these bad boys. Check this out. Okay, so this is, I said, with human ingenuity, we will soon be an interplanetary species. And one day we will travel the stars. Do you think something like this could be used on Mars?
Here's how it works.
Hold on, here we go.
This tiny robot may be our only chance to save the ecosystem. It sounds crazy, but this little innovation can reforest the whole planet, saving thousands of endangered species and replenishing our natural resources. So, what is this wonder robot that will change the face of the Earth? Here's how it works. All you need is to place it on the ground, and it will slowly start burying itself. If you attach a seed to it, the robot plants it deep underground. It behaves just like a hygromorph, a natural structure that changes shape in response to the environment and its conditions, like humidity. Morphing Matter Lab A team of researchers behind the innovation came up with this simple yet genius design that has 3 anchor points that prevent the structure from flipping over or falling down. It always faces downward at a specific angle to penetrate the ground and plant itself. The secret is in the number of coils. More coils will soften the structure, but having too few of these coils won't have enough thrust force for the actuation effect. By drilling the seed deep enough, the structure keeps it safe underground from natural threats like fires, rains, or animals. When the robot comes in contact with moisture, the wood expands, but the inner layer cells do it faster than the outer layer, causing it to coil. When it dries, it changes speed again, with the inner layer cells pushing the seed deeper into the soil. The choice of materials for these robots became oak wood, one of the strongest and most accessible. Back in the lab, they run a series of chemical processes to make tiny pieces of wood pliable and keep its strength. Then they introduce a mechanical molding to produce this intricate structure. It's a unique design of a robot because it doesn't require any more materials to be made from. No synthetics or plastics are involved, which are already damaging our planet. Wood is biodegradable, so it won't become a waste in forests. One of the most important tests they conducted was airdropping multiple seeds from drones. As a result, such cases maintained a success rate of 90%. What's more convenient is that robots can be implanted with symbiotic species, like fungi and nematodes, that help to increase the survival rate of a plant in a natural environment. Maybe a robot is not the right name for it. Instead, let's call it a copy of the erodium plant. This plant produces seeds with a hydromorphic tail-like structure that helps the seed to propel itself into the ground. It then coils and uncoils, trying to drill the seed further into the soil. This plant was an inspiration to the team, but it had its downside that needed to be fixed: its low success rate. Erodium seeds have a hard time drilling themselves into the ground, and harder terrains bring their chances to zero. So that's why these engineers took a stance and improved the design to make it work all the time. What's more fascinating is that the robot can hold various seeds and plant every wood type, enabling the possibility of reforesting all terrains on the planet. With innovations like this, it's only a matter of years before the world will start recovering to its original look.
That's pretty cool, right?
Dude, that is genius.
That is human ingenuity at its best, right there. And
Yeah.
I think that we should figure out what we need to do to grow stuff on Mars, and we got to send a bunch of those things.
Exactly.
Start preparing the environment.
Right? Let's make some green.
Whatever they're doing to our clouds up here, we're controlling the weather here. Maybe we're just practicing for Mars.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it's funny because, so Elon's going to be at Mars. He's going to be the first guy at Mars. He's basically, and I think that's why he doesn't want to worry about being president of the United States. He's like, I don't need to be president of the United States. I'm going to be the king of Mars.
There we go.
I always wanted a castle. Maybe we should set up a castle on Mars.
Right?
Porter Castle.
It's going to be beautiful.
Beautiful. But guys, this is the dreaming. This is the stuff that propels people forward. This is the stuff we want our kids thinking about. This is what we want our families going towards, not building bombs and dropping on people.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Or being scared to work on free energy, as they call it.
We're being scared to work on free energy. I'll tell you what, guys, personal experience, okay? This water engine and everything they always talk about. Well, I can remember we were living in North Carolina. I must have been around, 7 or 8 years old or something. Dad comes home with this crazy contraption. And he tries to install it on the Cadillac, and he can't get it working. And it's supposed to put water through the engine or the combustion part of it while it's working, and it's supposed to give you like 80% more fuel economy. Mm-hmm. So he had a buddy who was dad was a military guy. He had a buddy who was still in the military. Dad was retired at that point. And they came over and they worked on it for a couple of days, and they got it working. I remember. Things sat there under the dashboard. I don't know if you remember, David. It had kind of, right? And it worked. Wow. It worked. And the inventor, died of a heart attack, of course. Very, very strangely, And then, I don't know. I think it stopped working, and then nobody really knew how to do stuff or whatever. But we were basically that. Of course, gas was less than 50 cents back then, and then you were getting an 80% boost on it. I mean, it was like driving around for free.
Yeah, we could all use an 80% boost on our gas mileage, and it seems simple enough, but it also seems like it's being held back and not being allowed to be used.
Everybody who starts working and comes up with some type of free energy, they get a visit from the Clintons or something, like those poor Haitians. But while we're talking about that, let's talk about oil, because oil is up, and this is a very key indicator. We talk about it often because oil is a very key indicator into what is going to happen to your pocketbooks. Okay. And there's a psychological level here. There's a psychological level, and that's at $80. And we have sailed past $80 and well past $80. I believe we have already closed. We've already closed in most of the world at $80, over $80. So if we continue to close over $80 for a couple of days, which I think we probably will, because of course inflation is running away. It is runaway inflation. So this is a 3-month chart. You can see we're at highs over the 3 months. It was higher. You can see, but just so you can also see, so $93 a barrel. This was back last year in October. Now, to me, it appears that this has been kept artificially down for quite some time. But the fact that it is now going to run away, guys, this could rise very fast. Very fast. We could be over $100 a barrel in no time.
Mm-hmm.
But even just being over $80 a barrel, you're going to start to feel that. One of the ways that we feel inflation is, of course, at the pump. So if you go fill up your tanks, all of us, my mom used to say, well, hey, you're going to pay it anyway. That's what she used to say. Don't look. You got to pay it anyway. Of course, I always looked. I didn't have that same thing. Let's change this. I want to change this. What do you mean? We can't do anything about it.
I feel like it's half and half. Half the people are always watching the price, and the other half are like, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah. That is kind of how it usually goes, right? But when you go and let's say it's $70 or $80 or $100 or whatever it is right now to fill your gas tank, and that turns into $200, and you have to do that, a couple, 2-3 times a month, you feel that. If you're a normal person, normal income type person, okay? And even if you're more than that, you still feel it. You're complaining about it. Like, what in the world is this?
Yeah.
What is this?
Everybody likes to get a good deal and not ripped off.
So that also plays into the inflation number, the rising cost of goods and services, everything. It costs more to bring the food to the grocery store. It costs more for the employee to get to the grocery store. It costs more to produce the groceries. It costs more to produce the goods. It's more at every turn. And so the price goes up. So not only are we battling inflation, and we're not really battling it. Central bank is doing it to us. But not only is inflation through the roof because our leaders in Washington are drunk on spending money, printing money. They're in love with printing money. They love to print money. They just love it. They are drunk on printing money. It's booze o'clock, or what did you say it was, David? It's booze o'clock in Washington, D.C. for the printing press all the time. You know how they say it's always 5 o'clock? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Right. It's print o'clock somewhere, they say. Biden comes out yesterday and literally mumbles through the statement. Of course, it's Biden. He mumbles anyway. But he really mumbled this one. Well, I'm going to send another $300 million to Ukraine because, I have the authority to do it because, I
have the authority.
You know why he has the authority to do it? Because the central bank will print him the money. And he doesn't have to take the money from you. The central bank will take it from you from inflation because they'll just dilute the dollars. And then the federal government, IRS, will collect enough taxes to cover the service of the loan from the Federal Reserve, from the central bank. So every year in federal taxes, they cover just enough in order to cover the interest payment on what the federal government or what the Federal Reserve has, the central bank has fronted us. So right now it's about $34 trillion to service that, to pay for that debt. We owe in 2023, we owe $1.6 trillion. So they're going to collect $1.6 trillion in your income tax just so they can pay the central bank. It gets worse. If you watch us, we really go down it sometimes. I'm not going to at the moment, maybe in a little bit, because I'm really talking about oil right now and how that is going to affect everything. So now another reason I think oil is staying down is because it's kind of an economic indicator on how much the economy is growing. And the economy is not really growing. We're not producing more goods or services. Okay. So that kind of gets stagnant. Okay. But then when you put in the war machine, I think, again, we start to now grow. Okay. I hate to say it that way, but that's the truth. So oil, I think, is going to continue to go up. The U.S. now is one of the largest producers of oil. So that is pretty interesting, but we don't sell it abroad for the most part. I think we keep it for the most part here in the U.S., which is good. Trump really opened that up. Before Trump came into office, I had a client actually down in Texas, where we were on TV, as a matter of fact, and one of the same towns, one of those stations, and they did a corporate rentals. And during the whole Bush era, and even during the Bush era, they were just really making money. Biden came in, it took him a few years or whatever, but he really shut down that oil producing out of Texas. He really shut it down. And so they basically were not making any money. And then Trump got into office. Of course, we started producing drill, baby, drill, as he says, started producing more energy. And they were doing good again. I still keep up with I can just see from their, talking and this and that. We're still connected on different platforms, but really important. So that is going to be a key. That is a key indicator. We've been following it very closely. We're going to continue to follow it very closely. I do think that this is going to continue to go up. 81.05. And as our friend Matt Dixon always says, look for the close of the day. But again, it's already closed overseas, over 80. If this keeps spiking higher, which I think it is going to, we're gonna feel that. Let me tell you what, we're gonna feel that, and then Biden's gonna tell you he needs to step in and do something. Another reason why that number goes up is because your buying power of your dollars is being so diluted that they have no choice but to raise the money, but to raise it. No choice is a relative term, but it's just inflation. And that was what I was saying at the beginning when I started talking about it. I actually feel like it's been kept artificially low a bit to be very frank. But the inflation is just rampant. The inflation is rampant. When Biden says, "Hey, it's no problem. I'm going to send 300 million over there." Okay, first of all, out of that 300 million, 3%, the central bank gets their cut. It's about 3%, give or take. Okay, they get their cut, 3% about that they make off of that. So of course, no, hey, call the Treasury, print us some more money, print some more. That was a pretty good video that I played the other day, right? Kind of explained it pretty well. Print some more money. We need some more money. Okay. Federal Reserve, the central bank, has never been audited. You can't even go in there. They operate above the government, above the White House, above Congress, above the Supreme Court. They actually are the highest in the land. They're the highest level in the land. They run the country.
They can even probably fund the health department, which is right up there at the highest.
Of course,
they can decide if
they
have the money. They have the money to do something or not.
There is no restriction on how much money they can or can't print. How high your interest rates are is totally up to them. Everything is up to them. It is absolutely crazy. And actually, I shared a video. This guy says it a little bit better than me. And the guy that I sent over to you, David, that is one of the guys that we've used a bunch of his videos over the times. But this is a different one here. Let me just pull him up here. This is somebody else here. Share this tab. Add to stage.
Well, you asked the question in your book that Creature from Jekyll Island, what is the Federal Reserve, and what is your answer?
Well, what it is, it's a cartel. It's not a government agency. It has the appearance of it being a government agency, and they went to great lengths to give it that facade. It does have the power of government because Congress voted to give the power of enforcement to it. But in its essence, underneath it, it's a cartel. It's nothing different than a banana cartel or an oil cartel or sugar cartel. It happens to be a banking cartel. They got together, they drew up the rules and regulations for their own industry, to self-regulate their own industry is what cartels do. And then they sent it to Congress and they took off the label at the top that said banking cartel and they erased that. And they said Federal Reserve Act. Congress passed it into law. And that's why we think it's a government agency, is because if you don't obey the rules that they set down for their own industry, you go to prison. And so it looks like a government agency. But basically the answer to your question is it's a banking cartel.
That's what we're up against. And we talk about it every day because it's that important that everybody realize what we're up against. It is a banking cartel. Very dangerous banking cartel. David and I did not kill ourselves. Okay. It has a stranglehold on power, and this banking cartel has it's infiltrated all the countries of the world, basically. And either we are completely at war with these if they aren't part of the central banking cartel, then the U.S. is at war with them. And since they passed the Federal Reserve Act back in 1913, we have been at war ever since. We've basically been at war ever since. Now, I also want to, because you have to know who you're dealing against, okay? Who you're dealing with. Nobody knows. Oh no, they say the Federal Reserve is not federal. It's federal. It's federal. Federal Reserve.
It's not private.
It's not private. They tell me it is private. And these are the families. It's for profit, and they make a lot. They make a lot. They make a lot of money. What's the interest? I already told you. So the interest on $34 trillion that they've fronted, and there's no reason for them to front paper money to us. Okay, the government, we can print our own money, or we can use gold or silver or Bitcoin or whatever else, something that's more sound. Okay, we don't need them printing the money. When Russia has kicked out the central bank, now they have inflation, but they keep the inflation. They print out the money, and they're doing well. They're doing well over there. Same thing with Syria. So these are the families that own the Federal Reserve, and they own it through different other private central banks and everything else. But these are the major shareholders right here. Okay, I'll read them out loud because it's important that you know them. We have to know who we're dealing with. You have the Rothschilds, which everybody knows that. I feel like everybody knows. You have the Rockefellers, the Morgans, the Warburgs, Goldman Sachs, Lehman, Kuhn, Loeb, Lazard, Israel, Moses, Schiff, and Stillman. And these are the families that can print. We allow them, and Truman, or was it Truman? I have to find that. I'll have to find that again. His quote. But after he was the one who pushed it through, signed it, and authorized it. He said he made the biggest mistake. But I made the biggest mistake.
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson. And actually, this is pretty interesting. Before I flip this, this is a very interesting clip right here too. I posted this actually. Here we go. The Federal Reserve is an independent agency. No one can overrule our decisions. Former Fed Chair Alan Greenspan says this. The central bank bypassed. This is what I said. The central bank bypassed the Supreme Court, the White House, the Congress. Our vote is immaterial. This is why the wars never end and the inflation tax is skyrocketing.
What is the proper relationship? What should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then such relationships don't frankly matter. And I've had very good relationships with presidents.
What is the proper relationship? What should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means
it's playing again. I know. Hold on.
There is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that
and this is the other one I wanted to play here. This was Federal Reserve.
Then such relationships don't frankly matter. And
lots of good stuff. It was trending for about 2 minutes the other day. Here it is right here. Woodrow Wilson, who signed the Federal Reserve Act, he said, a few years later, he wrote, "I am the most unhappy man. I have unwittingly ruined my country. A great industrial nation is controlled by a system of credit. Our system of credit is concentrated. The growth of the nation, therefore, and all of our activities are in the hands of a few men. We have come to be one of the worst ruled, one of the most completely controlled and dominated governments in the civilized world. No longer a government of free opinion, no longer a government by conviction and the vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and the duress of a small group of dominant men." File that on your stuff they don't teach you in school. right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's really something else. So I wanted to talk a little bit here about Trump is back in court, and then this TikTok ban. So Trump is back in court. Let me just go back over to here. He's in Florida to this documents case, and this has just been going on and on and on. I mean, this guy, he is the obvious nomination here. Happening now, Donald Trump is currently in Florida with his attorneys and are submitting arguments to have the case dismissed. Jack Smith and his team are answering questions from the judge. The judge appears to agree with Trump and team when they asked about the Biden-Pence not being prosecuted for handling classified documents. Can you give me more details of why Biden wasn't charged, he asked. Jack Smith's team said that Trump's case was unique and that they don't have details on Biden's investigation. They also attempted to point to Trump talking about the classified documents, even though Biden did the same thing with his ghostwriter. So, I mean, this is all just a big farce. Will Biden ever face prosecution?
Oh, no. Of course not.
Right.
They found a good way to give us a lot of content to keep talking about Trump and to watch him keep winning.
Well, that's true. And this is what I said. I was down with Bitcoin Ben. Of course, everybody knows Bitcoin Ben. He's loved by all. And I was speaking at his conference. And I told him, I said, look, guys, I think Trump's gonna win. And I still kind of think so. They're really in a rock and a hard place because everybody's talking about Trump. How in the world could they not elect Trump? I mean, what would they do what would they talk about? Here he is arriving in court. Yeah. Like literally, what would they talk about?
They wouldn't talk about Sleepy Joe.
Wouldn't talk about Sleepy Joe. That's for sure. Anyway, that's him arriving. I was hoping he would have some words to say. Here we go. Oh, that's talking about Georgia. The Georgia case, dissembling in front of our eyes. I mean, this is pretty.
What do you think will happen in this case as it relates to her, and what should happen in your view?
Well, this case is disassembling in front of our eyes. This was a very basic error. You know, this is a major case, but these prosecutors didn't put together the most basic narrative or facts that have to support these counts. The question is, what did the grand jury know? If it wasn't in the indictment, how did they vote out these crimes? What were they told as the basis? Because the judge just said, you're not even telling the defendant what he needs to know to defend himself. I don't know what facts you're alleging here. Now, they could go back to the grand jury and get a superseding indictment, but that's going to take time. It's going to take time off the clock. And they might have a problem doing what is obviously their overriding purpose here, which is to try Donald Trump before the election. They could just go without these counts. The judge said, I'll let you refer to the underlying conduct. I just won't let you use them as standalone crimes for these particular counts unless you go back to the grand jury.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Go ahead.
Well, I know Trump, he's a great businessman and he's probably making money, but it seems like we need to continue to throw some money at him because he's got all these cases and we need him to win.
We need him to win. It's very important. I even had people who got mad at me. I really went all out and I tried to stop this war in Israel when it first started going. Yeah. I knew a lot of people were going to die. I didn't want it to happen. I didn't want the U.S. to be involved, and people got mad at me. And but I even had people come back. Of course, I mean, I am who I am, right? And I mean, obviously, it is going on, and I still am who I am. But they came back and said, Bruce, it is so important that we get Trump elected. I want you to come back. I want to work with you. And that's the right move, because Trump's not perfect, but neither am I. Neither is David. I know it's hard to believe.
Come on, I can decide that.
Neither can anybody. All right, nobody is perfect, but we got to support the man. We need to get the man in office. Okay, it's really, really important. And I don't think he's going to save everything if he gets in. Don't get me wrong. Okay, he did enough things in office that drove me absolutely up the wall. And I'm sure he'll do it again. But at least this time I know what I'm dealing with. I know what I'm dealing with now.
Yeah, it is funny, some of the support he has this time around. And I just feel like he definitely got on their good side one way or another. I don't know what kind of deals they got up their sleeve, but
I don't know what kind of deals they got up their sleeve either, but it is definitely happening. Our friends over there, Shib with hat. Yeah,
yeah.
Shib with hat. I'll tell you what, we're long, brother. We're long. We're going big. And I was just talking to, anyway, I won't get into that. So I wanted to talk a little bit as well. We're going to run out of time here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this TikTok ban, because this TikTok ban is absolutely crazy. And it's like the Trojan horse being pushed in front of there by these criminals. They're criminals, okay? Mike Johnson and Congress, these guys are criminals. And they just pushed it through. They just voted. And then the Supreme Court's not going to do anything about it, obviously. They just said that the Biden administration can contact social media companies to censor you. Senate's obviously controlled by the Democrats, so they're going to do it anyway. So I want to play this this video here real quick. Wait. Here we go.
You know, if you spent more than $5.
One more thing from today's news, TikTok, the Republicans just voted to, Republicans and Democrats just voted to ban it. You don't think they should ban it right now?
Well, I didn't say anything other than you have to look at Facebook. Facebook is the enemy of the people. They did those lockboxes. They spent $500 million. You know, if you spent more than $5,600 or whatever the number is, if you spent $100 more, they put you in prison for campaign violations, right? Zuckerberg, or Zuckerbucks, whatever you want to call him, is spending, the number is crazy. He's spending $500 million in the last election, and nothing happens to him. And that money's being passed all over the place, especially on the lockboxes, or so-called lockboxes, because they're not lockboxes. I call them open boxes. And I think that something has to be done with Facebook. And one thing I will say, I don't want Facebook to get bigger, because I think Facebook is an equal threat. And that includes with China, because if China wants to know anything about what Facebook knows, they're going to give them the information.
So it's pretty interesting. We're going to run out of time here, but I wanted to just kind of, look, just go over what he says, okay? He says, well, he didn't say anything about it, but look at Facebook. Facebook is the enemy of the people. They did those locked boxes. They spent $500 million. And if you spend more than $5,600 or whatever the number is, if you spent $100 or more, they put you in prison for campaign violations, right? So what is going on? Why in the world are they able to do it? And they're able to do it because the central bank is in charge. We have no representation. You have zero representation. You have zero representation in Washington, D.C. I've been telling people you need to come to D.C. and represent yourself. And we're about to cut off here on the Smart Culture News Network. So I want to say bye to everybody. But you should do whatever you can. Call whoever you need to. Call your senator. Tell them do not pass this bill. It's probably a lost cause. They're going to pass it, and they're going to use it to come after Trump. They're going to use it to come after Elon. They're going to use it to come after Elon and X. In there, the president can choose. He can choose whoever the president deems is a threat. is a foreign controlled threat. He can go after whoever he wants. And that's what they're going to do. And they're going to make Elon sell X. And that's the whole big plan of it. Of course, they're mad at TikTok as well. TikTok let a lot of stuff get out that you're not supposed to hear. Another great show. David, I think we're finished our hour on the Smart Money Culture TV network, but it is always a pleasure to be on there. We are reaching, our signal there reaches 7 million people on TV. About 33% of them watch local TV. That's 2.3 million potential viewers, of which about 200,000 of them we know tune in. So it's a big audience. It's a big audience, and we're growing. We're growing fast. We're adding Los Angeles. We're adding Tampa. We're adding Miami. Grow with us.
Yep, super excited. Grow with us.
Cheers.
See you soon.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.